Broadcasting Corporation. Good evening. I am Bakara Bangura with News Hour. Coming up in this edition, 2 passengers reported dead when passenger speedboat capsized at the Kisii terminal. Some pupils of IMAT International School say they've been prevented from writing the ongoing WAT exams. Venezuelan ambassador to Sierra Leone delivers letter of invitation to President Ernest Bakara, and Central Division Police Partnership Board calls on Central residents to support the police fight indiscipline in the area. All these stories and more, including business and sports news, lined up here in this edition of News Hour, which begins right now. Two people have lost their lives when a speedboat capsized early this morning when traveling from Kisii Ferry Terminal. According to reports, 9 passengers were on board, 7 rescued. However, the captain of the boat is helping marine officials with their investigation into the incident. In 2006, nationwide floods during the rains came without warning. The severity of the weather during the rains and the intensity caused many to think that more needs to be done. Harold Williams has the story.
For the past 30 years, the Doppler radar situated at Tower Hill in the nation's capital should have been providing vital data on the intensity of storms approaching Sierra Leone. This equipment did not survive the 11-year civil war in Sierra Leone, and the Doppler radar is now in disrepair and almost beyond function. If this equipment had been functional, then it would have helped predict when storms will come and how long they will last, thus allowing the population to better prepare and avoid excessive loss of life and property, as was the case during the historic flooding of September 17, 2015. A brief tour through the 3-story structure of the Doppler radar building indicates how much is lacking, especially for the Meteorological Department, which manages the site and is supposed to provide the essential data for the assessment of climate change. Improvement is obviously on the agenda, but the full-scale upgrading of the Meteorological Department is almost 2 years away. Nevertheless, some of the equipment has begun to arrive. Alpha Bakara, who is the focal person for climate change in Sierra Leone and heads the Meteorological Department, explained that in addition to incoming consignments, government administration is also considering to upgrade the department into a revenue-generating agency. Mr. Bakara agrees that this could be the most beneficial option for meteorology in Sierra Leone, as capable staff are already being trained for the upcoming task.
As I stated, there's 1 person training in Nairobi, 2 are in Reading University. We've got 4 that have just returned from Nigeria. I'm sure if the agency comes, we have enough staff passionate that will do the work. Because one good bad thing with us is they don't just take you in a Met and you start working. We take at least 2 to 3 years in training you. So this is the reason when why we started those things long before, so that at least there will be a core implementing staff.
The threat of climate change is making it more necessary to have weather surveillance radar such as the Doppler weather radar at Tower Hill. This will cost billions of leones to replace, but if the Meteorological Department becomes an agency, its meteorological data could be sold to airliners and vessels for income which can help offset the costs for radar and other technical components of an early warning system for storms and their associated disasters.
The Deputy Minister of Health and Sanitation, Zulatu Cooper, has described the country's trial to introduce vaccine against Ebola strive as a great success. She made the disclosure during the final update and celebration of Strive Ebola Prevention McLeod's clinical trial at the Bintumani Conference Hall in Freetown. Our health correspondent Joseph Stanley has a story.
The Sierra Leone trial to introduce a vaccine against Ebola, STRIVE, is a groundbreaking partnership between the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, the College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, COMAS, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Despite the largest Ebola epidemic, the partnership successfully developed and implemented the country's first Maclate clinical trial. Addressing the gathering, the Deputy Minister of Health and Sanitation II, Zulaya Tukupa, recalled the Ebola outbreak in the sub-region that exposed the fragile health system, particularly the therapeutic and vaccine trials. She described the event as a big achievement as the partnership plan successfully implemented and managed a big clinical trial. Madam Cooper says the partnership will serve as a model of what cooperation and mutual respect can achieve. The Deputy Minister too maintained that as a nation, they are very proud that they address challenges and work together to develop and implement a world-class clinical trial that has the potential to help prevent another Ebola epidemic. Deputy Chief of Mission, United States Embassy Lottie Mienga, described the STRIVE as a public victory and the first clinical trial in Sierra Leone. She added that the clinical trial was an outstanding example that can be done in the spirit of collaboration and partnership with significant support by the United States government. The Chief of Mission says the United States is very proud to stand beside Sierra Leone and celebrate the success and look forward to many more years of continued partnership, collaboration and success. Several other speakers, while making contribution, referred to the clinical trial as a step in the right direction to help prevent another Ebola epidemic as well as save lives.
Some pupils of IMAT International School at Kintom have told SLBC that they have been prevented from writing the ongoing WASC exams after all charges required by the school have been paid. The pupils accused the school authority of bringing foreign pupils from Guinea to write the exams.
Located at number 20 Henities Kintom. We were attending there since SS1. We are paying our school fees normally 350,000 per term. We stayed there, we went to SSS4. They asked us to pay for 2 terms, but we did not attend the 2 terms school. They said 350 per term. They forced us to pay 350 per term. We did the arrangement that we are only going to pay for 1 term because we are attending other classes. We are not getting better teaching from the school. So they forced us to pay the sum of 700,000 euros for the 2 terms. They asked us again to pay for WASC fee, 200,000 euros. There comes a time in April they said we will have to pay 10,000 euros for snapshots and 10,000 euros to fill the form. They came with a form, but the form was fake. They said it's from WAEC. The reason why I said it's fake because now they are asking us to take the private WASC exam. Okay, this last Saturday we went to school, but there were some foreigners who came under the school to sit. They are Guineans. They are Guineans. They came to sit under the school. They paid. We don't know the sum of amount they paid, but we paid the actual amount. We paid 965,000 euros. So we went there Saturday. They said we should go there Saturday to take the snapshot. They said WAEC said we are not going to take the government WASC. They are going to find a way for us to sit the private WASC. We agreed. They said we are going to pay another 500,000 balance. Then some of us said we don't have that kind of money. They said we should come with the money from Saturday to Monday. That's the last date. Okay, we went there on Saturday since 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock midnight. We are there begging them for us to snap because we did not have the money, the balance 500,000. On Saturday at 4 o'clock, I was there with the CEO. The CEO told me that I should go and bring the sum of 250 so that I can snap. I went out to my relatives. They helped me with the sum of 250. I came with the 250. And I gave them the 250. They only wrote my name in 2 papers, the vice and the exam officer. They were the one that writing people's name. They did not snap us. They did not agree that. Now some of them are in the exam or taking their exam while we are at the school. They promise us to refund our WAS fee. They are going to give us. But when we went there this morning, the CEO was nowhere to be found. Like what?
Pupils of IMAT International School efforts to reach the principal of the school proved futile. The Forum Against Harmful Practice has called on the government and other partners to act now and save the lives of girls and young women. The plea was made at a press briefing held at the 50/50 headquarters in Freetown. Lucian Ganda has the story.
For short, is a coalition of over 20 civil society organizations, national and international, whose primary focus is to reduce incidences of harmful traditional practices affecting girls and young women in Sierra Leone, to respond to the increasing need for collaboration among organizations working towards the reduction and ultimate eradication of harmful traditional practices. These include but are not limited to child forced marriage and female circumcision, FGC, teenage pregnancy and violence against women and girls, which can contribute to reproductive health problems. On the 12th of August, one of our focal points in Makeni, 2016, alerted this forum about the death of one Fatma Tatoué, a 19-year-old SSS4 student of the UMC Secondary School, Makeni. The forum wasted no time but asked the chairperson and the treasurer of the forum to go to Makeni and verify this information. The information received was confirmed by contacted stakeholders on the ground, and they reported that arrest had been made and the corpse was at the government hospital in Makeni awaiting postmortem. Arresting in Tombolili, reporting that 14 girls, the eldest is 13 years and the youngest is 4 years, had been initiated in Bangura and were hidden in an undisclosed location in Bangura town. This information was verified. The unidentified location was identified and visited. The 14 children were found in an orphanage. Photos were taken as evidence, and the children were found all by themselves but for insecurity manning the gate. The forum expresses its strong condemnation of the present state of initiations going around the country, with incidences being reported in Lopo, Bombali, Tombolili, Western area, urban and rural. It seems as if the Sowetos are having a field day, conducting initiations with impunity, with no checks and balances on their activities. The Forum Against Harmful Practices is calling on the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, the Family Support Units, the Human Rights Commission, civil society organizations, including the media, to act now to save the lives of our children, sisters, and young women. FAB call on the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs to take immediate steps to approve and endorse the national strategy for the reduction of FGC, which has been before the minister for a number of months now.
The Venezuelan ambassador to Sierra Leone resident in the Gambia, Eduardo Madino Rubio, has delivered a letter of invitation to President Ines by Kuruma State House to attend the Non-Aligned Countries Summit in Margarita, Iceland on the 17th and 18th of September this year. Razia Bashkamara finding this report for News Hour.
Sierra Leone, representing the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, is resident in the Gambia. He's a special envoy of the President of Venezuela. It's not a special level to basically from him, it has to do with the revival of non-alliance movement.
The Venezuelan ambassador was introduced to His Excellency the President by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Samuel Kamara. Delivering the letter of invitation to the President, Ambassador Eduardo Medina Rubio said it is a pleasure for him to bring the letter from his President, President Nicolas Maduro, to attend the next summit of the non-aligned countries.
We consider that the neocolonialism is against the people, and this movement, none, is an instrument, it's a tool of the people. So for us it's very important. This meeting, the summit, will become the reaffirming, the historical reaffirming of the movement. For that reason we consider the special importance, the presence of Sierra Leone.
Welcoming Ambassador Rubio, President Nkrumah thanked him for the invitation to attend the summit of non-aligned countries. The president maintained that as a government and country, they have been active members of the movement and that they are aware that the non-aligned movement has been a platform wherein there are people that were not too involved in what was then the Cold War, but rallied and addressed issues of their concerns.
We still have reason to have a forum of this nature. We still have issues of underdevelopment that is affecting our countries, of poverty, climate change and other issues that could be of relevance to this movement. And therefore the revival of the non-aligned movement is in place. We look forward to participating in the conference, and I will convey the response to this letter to the President through the official means. So once more, let me welcome you.
In another engagement, the special envoy of the Japanese Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, who is also special envoy for the United Nations Affairs, Seiichi Kondo, has also delivered a letter of invitation to His Excellency the President at State House. Delivering the message, Ambassador Seiichi Kondo expressed gratitude to the President for granting him audience despite his busy schedule. He disclosed that the letter delivered is an invitation for His Excellency to attend the TICAD meeting in Nairobi, where the Japanese Prime Minister would like to have bilateral meetings with President Nkrumah.
He has Security Council reform as one of the top priority policies. But in the last 10 years, there has been little progress, but he is wrestling like yourself. So he tries to take every opportunity, including TICAD, to deepen the dialogue between G4, which we represent, and C10, which you represent. And because the cooperation between those two fora is the easiest way to achieve great majority, which will be good enough to put pressure.
Also welcoming the special envoy, President Nkrumah through him acknowledged receipt of the letter from the Japanese Prime Minister, saying he has noted the major issues of his visit. The President said he is aware that he met with the Prime Minister during the last TICAD meeting and that they had fruitful bilateral engagement, and that they also had a TICAD committee of 10 meeting, which was also very fruitful. He noted with dismay that unfortunately he will not be able to attend this year's TICAD meeting, but he has already assigned his Vice President to step in for him. President Nkrumah noted that for the purposes of the bilateral meeting and assured the envoy that he will urge the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation to ensure that it is facilitated to strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries. He maintained that as a government, they do hope that even in his absence, they will have such an engagement. On the issue of the Committee of 10, the President made it clear that they had a successful meeting in the last TCAD meeting, and he was looking forward to a continuation of that engagement, especially as they have come out with renewed mandate and determination after the Committee of 10 heads of state and government of the African Union Kigali meeting for Africa to heighten the kind of engagement that they have been involved in advancing the issue.
The African position, I believe, is a simple request for us to be given a representation at the Security Council on a permanent and non-permanent basis because of the numbers that we have in Africa, because of the countries that are member states, and because of the issues that have been discussed. And when we talk about democracy, we talk about the numbers. When we talk about inclusiveness, we talk about the issues that have been discussed. And that is why we believe firmly that the African position is still strong, and the African position is a fair request that we're making. And we have had an understanding with the G4, which you are representing. And to some extent, there are certain convergences that we have accepted. There are still issues in terms of the use of the veto, which I believe.
Commercial bike riders in Freetown have told SLBC the reason for putting on slippers whilst riding. Even though it is against the law, they prefer putting on slippers to ride. Francis Danema was out and about the streets of Freetown and compiled this report.
According to research conducted by road safety specialists in the world, 47% of riders wearing inappropriate footwear receive open wound injuries when they crash, while 25% using correct footwear get open wounds. Some bike riders said they do use slippers to ride because of injuries sustained on their feet.
Me, I don't use for like only man they would in Africa. You see me and this past Sunday, I man is woman police the cow. The petrol puts me inside the bike. The man is push me. Police push me. They push me. I go follow this. Switch up. See about. Yeah. They push me. So I go follow.
Now, the way they creep, but say 1 month ago, 2 months ago, they were creeping more, they were boots. Sometimes you need breeze. You don't get chance for dinner host, for say today, that respect, you get problems everyone solve. So, but they need breeze. They wear rain boots, they wear crepe for 1 month, 2 months continuously. So sometimes you need breeze. So then some man can use their bag at times.
However, some of their colleagues who were well dressed criticized them, noting that any rider using slippers is risking his life, including passengers.
What did they say? Where they give where they creep the WhatsApp is set that automatic is set and you see say that they are not to SC. Go now about this operation we go on so now one of the things that the way they try for giving pandemic.
I know we support. Even at times why they see some when I advise you, I did tell you, see, I don't with two elements, you see. So I know one waiting with them call, I get me code, you see how we address it. So I know like when we go with the right because you don't happy with friends, accident, when they get and I feel they catch you back. So 9 fashion body. So the team just waiting with them call and then it's cut. It's Stanley. So now the reason that this way they advise you for go back. Where would you talk about? We never know about it.
Public Relations Officer, Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, Abdul Karim Dumbuya, condemned the act. Road Safety Corps have always issued tickets to commercial bike riders who contravene the law.
We expect police officers, we expect our own people, that is the Road Safety Corps, we used to call them traffic wardens, to arrest any rider that contravenes the road traffic regulation. It is an offense, as I have told you. So riding with slippers is an offense. That's like crash helmet. Driving without crash helmet is also an offense. See, that has been our message since 2012, when in March 2012, when the road traffic regulation was launched. That has been our message, and some people are complying. The thing about road safety is enforcement and sensitization. It has to go simultaneously.
Lots of sensitization have been done on the correct gears that bike riders should use, but it is difficult for them to listen. He reaffirms SLRSA's commitment to give tickets to riders caught wearing slippers.
The local policing partnership board Central Division has called on the community to support the police to address the spate of indiscipline, youth violence, drug abuse, and armed robbery in the area. This call was made at a meeting to address lawlessness in the community. However, an agreement was reached to deploy 300 young people as safety volunteers to assist the police in curbing crime. The meeting took place at the Central Police Division. Mama Denken Kanu sent in this report.
The meeting discussed ways and developed an agreement between the police and the community people to improve security in the Central Division. According to statistics, crime rate in the community is on the increase, especially armed robbery and youth violence. Chairman, Local Police Partnership Board, Alhaji Alassane Kamara, says the issue of policing should be a concerted effort within the public, should be providing information to the police regarding crime without fear or favor. Alhaji Kamara adds that the Partnership Board will be recruiting 300 community safety volunteers to assist the Central Police Division deal with crime-related activities.
We thought of it for Corona today, and for now we come to do up to this particular very, very important document where prepared by the FPPB and the support and advice of our able chief advisor at the NUC. We get a little time for the spend and we resident there when they go home, what they call them go home. I believe say majority of those don't have, maybe we don't resident now, the setting of division. But we spend all the time of the day and we live. We hope and then another office here outside with it. We're not able to do that, but we don't see identify them. So we don't want to slow down again. So if we want for cut off volunteer, I would say we want for come on board. We want to come together and help the police. Police not there outside, we don't see. Now, police not able to police will all.
He appeals to the community to refrain from antisocial activities that will put the security of the community at risk, whilst calling on the government to look into the implementation of the 1965 Public Order Act. Local Unit Commander, Central Police Station, Chief Superintendent Litho Lamin, says the community and the police should work together to maintain law and order. According to Elusi Little Lamin, there is the need for the formation of the Central District Community Safety Volunteers to reduce crime rates in the country.
See, honestly, like I said earlier, they are the people we are policing. They own the communities. They are in the communities. They know their own gray areas. They know where, offenses are being committed. And they know the people who commit those offenses. We are very limited. We, the police officers, are very limited. But with their participation in patrolling, in terms of giving us information, that will help us greatly, to deter criminals from committing offenses within the jurisdiction.
According to the local police partnership board secretary general, Moses Kane, the meeting discussed the weak policing partnership board structural and operational framework, low-level public knowledge and awareness about local policing concepts and benefits, among others.
Well, this is News Hour live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Up next is the business news.
Hello and welcome to the business updates. We begin with the foreign exchange rates. The US dollar buys at 6,116 leones and sells at 6,239 leones. Pound sterling buys at 7,898 leones and sells at 8,062 leones. Euro buys at 6,830 leones and sells at 6,966 leones. That's the foreign exchange rate courtesy of the central bank. The United States government's Global Hunger and Food Security Initiative Feed the Future, with support from USAID, led by the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana in partnership with Jala University's Agriculture Department, has launched the Integrating Gender and Nutrition within Agricultural Extension Services at Jala Mokonde. Lucian Ganda filing this report.
Nutrition within Agricultural Extension Services project funded by USAID and led by the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana focuses on reducing gender gaps in agricultural extension services, increasing empowerment of women farmers, and improving gender and nutrition integration within extension services. Engineers harnesses the technical expertise and resources of expert multidisciplinary teams to provide capacity development, technical assistance, research, network, and respond to real-world problems in agricultural extension systems. Declaring the launch of the project open, the Chief Agricultural Officer, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Francis Sanko, explains the 5 implementation policies of government, which include to increase land production for mechanized farming, the provision of materials to boost farmers, loan facilities for smallholders commercialization, community banks for rural farmers, agricultural centers, and the construction of feeder roads to access produce markets. The country director, USAID, Khadijat Mojidi, has this to say.
By expanding farmers' access to local and international markets. Last month, the U.S. Congress passed the Global Food Security Act, legislation that will now institutionalize the Feed the Future initiative, which this program is a part of. So that's one aspect of sustainability. Launched in response to the global food price spike in 2008, Feed the Future has helped millions of farmers adopt innovation and practices to build their businesses, boost their sales, leverage millions of dollars in private sector resources, and reach nearly 18 million young children with nutrition interventions.
She expresses the hope that with the cooperation of all, the path to prosperity will be actualized. The head of Department Extension and Rural Sociology, Njala University, Adolphus Johnson, explains the relationship between Njala University and the University of Illinois.
Njala University goes way back into the 30s and 20s when it started as an agricultural training center.
The presentation on the overview of the engineers projects and the University of Illinois' engagement in Sierra Leone was led by Dr. Paul McNamara from the University of Illinois. Representatives from the Ministries of Health and Sanitation, Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, and the Vice-Chancellor of Njala University all pledged their support towards the projects.
The National Minerals Agency, NMA, has cancelled the mining rights of Clough Gold, failing to develop the mines in 6 months.
A letter written by the National Minerals Agency, NMA, states that the company failed to undertake development of the mine within 6 months of the registration of the license, as stipulated in the Mines and Minerals Act. According to the NMA letter, the decision was taken by the agency to cancel the mining rights of Clough Gold was the outcome of meetings held by the Minerals Advisory Board, which includes representatives from the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources. The NMA memo adds that Mineral Advisory Board considers Clough Gold's response of 1st June 2016 to the notice of cancellation, but did not find any convincing reasons as to why the mining rights should be given an extension or any further consideration. According to the NMA memo, Clough Gold did nothing to develop the mines, adding that the agency wants to ensure that license holders operate in line with the provisions in the Mines and Minerals Act. The National Minerals Agency, the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, and other stakeholders in the mining sector that form the Minerals Advisory Board cancelled 57 exploration and mining licenses in May this year. The 3 exploration licenses include that of Agosi Minerals Limited, an Australian-listed company.
That's the business update. Many thanks for your time. I am Judith Sana.
Well, that was the business news with Judith Sana. This is News Hour Live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. The West African Civil Society Forum Sierra Leone chapter, the All Political Party Registration Commission, and the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists Large have organized a national conference to chart the way forward to reduce violence in the country. The theme for the forum was Building a Tolerant Society, Bedrock for Good Governance, held at the Miata Conference Center, Brookfields in Freetown. Alberta Thomas sent in this report.
Presentation, Chairman West African Civil Society Forum Andrew Lavalley informs that this conference seeks to provide a platform to civil society and the media across Sierra Leone to discuss and agree on an advocacy agenda for reducing violence in the country. According to him, violence and national divisions weakens the rule of law and institutions that create effective checks and balances, limiting opportunities for citizens to come together in promoting national development. The chairman notes the recent violent activities in Kabala and Moyamba, and that this signifies that tolerance is not reflecting in Sierra Leone. Director of Planning and Security Coordination, Office of National Security, Francis Lagoba, says the MACP policy was established in June 2003 to restrict the role of the military and that it should not be used in low-level elections. He notes that the Office of National Security is trying to capacitate the police to enhance its professionalism as they are tired of security sector being castigated. The chairman assures that ONS will look into some of the issues highlighted for building a national cohesion. President, Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Kelvin Lewis, says since politics has now become the order of the day, journalists are more interested in publishing political issues. According to him, the landscape of journalism is divided.
To repeal the 1965 Public Order Act and stop criminalizing libel. Take away that jail term, because when they take away that jail term, a lot more people would invest into the media.
In his statement, Minister of Internal Affairs, retired Major Paulo Conte, confirms he is aware of how the SLP is being criticized, and as head of the Sierra Leone Police, he promised to rebrand the force. The Internal Affairs Minister calls for civic education to be taught in schools and colleges to foster national development. He adds that the issue of police personnel doing private job will soon be something of the past. The misuse of MACP must be looked into, and the use of Okada riders during political campaigns must be abolished. Presidential spokesman Abdoulaye Bereti says political sovereignty lies in the hands of the government and that civil society organizations are not state actors but have key role to play in identifying issues.
Sometimes people will hide under the cloak of political parties to create fear and create dissension in the state. By the time the law that, you know what, I'm condoning this, but I don't believe in this, I condemn this. And of course, that view is being graduated by the retired Paulo Conte when he also said, and I quote, that being a military man, I think Mark B is being overused and misused, unquote.
Campaign for Good Governance, Valnora Edwin, says the root causes of the 11 years war, as stated in Volume 3 of the TRC report, have started surfacing, which they must be mindful of regardless of one's political affiliation. The CGG head believes that people should be mindful of protecting their image and credibility rather than being too politically minded, as bootlicking and sycophancy have now become the order of the day for survival. She notes that many people holding political appointments have no civil service experience before and find it very difficult to manage a public office to serve diligently. According to her, the criticism against the police is due to the contrary orders given them, which tend to be damaging their profession, and that if they are to work effectively and efficiently, they must work in an independent platform. The Campaign for Good Governance head urges that in order to enhance good governance, Sierra Leoneans must ensure to foster tolerance, social cohesion and unity. Chairman of Forum, Right Reverend Anolsi Temple, notes that Sierra Leoneans are rendering lip service to the attitudinal and behavioral change. He discouraged the public from criticizing the police in discharging their duties under command, and also must acknowledge the fact that the Sierra Leone Police Force is not an independent body.
To end news are the main points again. 2 passengers have lost their lives when a passenger speedboat capsized at Kisi Ferry Terminal. Some pupils of the IMAT International School have claimed they prevented them from writing the ongoing WASC exams. Venezuelan ambassador to Sierra Leone resident in the Gambia has delivered a letter of invitation to President Ernest by Koroma at State House. And Central Division Police in Partnership Board has called on Central residents to support the police fight indiscipline in the area. Well, that's all in this edition of News Broadcast Live on the SLBC. On behalf of my news editor Sheikh Ismail and producer Daphne Zainab Kamara, I am Bakara Bangura in Freetown. Up next is Issues in the News. Stay with the SLBC. I'm out. Hello and welcome to Issues in the News. In the program today, of late, commercial bike riders in Freetown are seen putting on slippers to ride instead of full shoes. This is against the rules of riding. Even though they've been warned, riders are still flouting the rules. Where to take the discussion further, I've been joined in the studio by the Secretary General of the Bike Riders Union, Abdul Sharif. He is my studio guest for Issues in the News. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr.
Now, so why are your men still putting on slippers whilst they ride?
If that's be the case, um, I think that's just a small number of riders here, because sometimes we look at the present situation here. Maybe somebody is looking at the present situation now during the season.
So what is the present situation?
Now we have excessive amount of rains. Of
So-
course,
so-
when
so-
somebody in full gear, sometimes maybe unfortunately that person has just been under the rain, and then he has to change sometimes, and then
So
there
they
are
should
some,
put on slippers
no,
other
that's
than
not that's
rain
not,
boots or full shoes there.
no, actually that's not the that should not warrant them at least to use slippers. But maybe people are living in different communities, maybe from one point to another, then that person has to move from one point to another at least to prepare himself good again for the next operations. And again, the issue of bike riding here, mind you, people have different thoughts, because everybody that you see the riding bike, they think that person is a commercial motorbike operator. But here we have different people who are operating bikes here. Sometimes even some of the incidents
But the
that are
commercial
happening-
bike riders are in the majority putting on slippers when they're riding.
I disagree with that.
As
because,
we will just run a story in our 3 p.m. bulletin, and we saw so many bike riders, commercial ones for that matter, putting on slippers.
Well, as I said earlier on, one of the reasons why sometimes you see a commercial motorbike using slippers, if at all, is in that manner. Maybe because of the weather situation, that person must have been under rain, then he has to change, his whole attires, right, from one that of the previous one to the new one, at least to fit for the next operations.
So what is the preferred attire for a bike rider?
Well, at least you should not put on slippers. You
But
should
they are
wear
putting on
crepe or
slippers.
shoes. Then you must wear a long clothes, of course the trousers also, and a helmet. Of course, you must have a license. You get me? And then you'll be allowed, because even ourselves are out there to monitor the system. That's it. And again, one thing I want to say, not everybody that operates bike is a commercial motorbike operator here, because this has been one of the problems we have in the industry here. We have so many people who are coming into the industry who are operating these bikes, and those people are not even commercial motorbike operators. Sometimes if the situation forces them also, they run the bike as transport, they collect monies from people here, but you ask them, you say, no, I'm not part of that that's part of the union.
So have you been sensitizing these bike riders to the mode of dressing?
Yes, we are. That's because it's one of the problems why we've been asked not to ride in the central business district here. Looking at the previous behaviors of the commercial motorbike operators, and I'm sure it's one of the reasons here. But from the time when we've been asked not to ride in the central business district, and even before that time, that we have been moving park to park at least to monitor the system here. And I'm sure that we have 80%. I know it's not easy for us to have the 100%, to be honest.
Why not the 100%?
Well, why not the 100%?
Because you've been banned from riding within the central business district.
No, even
but of late we are seeing bike riders taking chances going to the CBD, and most times you see they've been flogged by the police with sticks.
Yeah, because actually that reminds me, from that time up to now, every day I experience that kind of fights in the street
between the bike riders and the police.
Yes, because there are some police, even if the boys are finding their ways up the hills, you see some police, because they don't have, maybe they've been out there without arresting one or two bikes, and then one of their aims is that not to ask the bikes not to ride in the central businesses, but also to get hold of them and take them to police stations. It's one of their objectives. So they have to go the hard way, the rigorous way to get the boys. That is
even
why
within Abdul, even within the New England vicinity, they are asked to ride up the hills, but most of the time you see them riding within New England, and even where we are sitting at SLBC, at the front of SLBC.
Well, actually,
on a daily basis, you see the police arresting bike riders, and even with pillars.
Yeah, in fact, but not all of those people are commercial motorbike operators here.
But they're commercial motorbike riders.
No, I just don't believe that, because if you go now at presently go now at New England, you see them over 200 bikes parked at New England parking ground. They have this for them to wait for passengers. You see, but most of the people going within these areas are not commercial motorbike operators here. They have their institutions which they serve also. You see, I'm sure some of them they work in pair, right?
So what are you talking about here?
Well, what I'm saying here, there are institutions that have motorbikes.
Okay.
Yes, for their operations here.
Okay.
And when they send people out, they send them in tools. So you see them, and if you don't understand, you think those people are commercial motorbike operators, all right?
But why did the police not arresting them? Because they are bikes of institutions, yes. And you see they go out on assignments, yeah. And they go out with the proper document and even helmet, and they are putting on the right mode of dressing. But you see bike riders on the streets of Freetown going to places where they are not allowed to go, and even they are putting on slippers instead of putting on the right shoes they should use to ride.
Well, in fact, I walk from from Circular Road to here. In fact, I was actually looking for one who can just lift me up to this place, but I could not find one. That is to say, I'm not saying those boys are not going in the central business district, but it's very difficult. Maybe in a situation where maybe you as it used to be, where we used to see a lot of bike riders, riding in the central business district. But today, if you are lucky, that is to say, if you can see one, that means you are lucky.
So why some are taking chances to go?
Well, maybe others because of lawlessness actually, but I want to assure you that you go out there now, it's not easy for you to see a commercial motorbike operator here going right at the central business district, because we respect the law, and one of the reasons why we respect the law is that we are business people here, and then we really notice or feel the law based on this one which has taken against the commercial motorbike operations in the western area here, that not only the central business district, that's what I always say, this law, or maybe the central business district has extended.
No, may I put it to you that 80% of bike riders are lawless.
80%? No, I disagree with you.
Why?
Why? Just take a look at. In fact, I'll show you videos of our operations here, where if you go through in some of these parks, the western area, you will see them a huge number of riders here, right at the park there, waiting for passengers. Mind you, before this time they used to go out, right, from Aberdeen Road, Wilkins Road, Lumley, Spur Loop, in all of these areas. All of a sudden, we are asked not to operate in all of those areas, but yet still we obey, right? And then that is why we always call on the government here to look at the issue, because this ban.
So why should the government intervene? Looking at this issue, we have sanity within the central business district.
Okay. Well, you say
why should government intervene when they are the lawmakers, they are the policy makers?
They are the policy makers here, and then I'm sure one of their responsibilities is that to provide job for each and every Sierra Leonean here. But taking somebody out of job, it has a long way to go, right? And looking at the human rights, I really want to say the welfare of that particular human being.
Banning bike riders to ply within the central business district. Is it that they've gone against your human right?
Yes.
How?
How? Well, first of all, it is their corporate social responsibility to the government to make sure that each and every Sierra Leonean gets his ways of surviving, right, or survival. But here is a case wherein thousands of commercial motorbike operators have been asked out of the Freetown municipality, not only the central business district here, because it has been extended too far that it's in our inconvenient. We are very inconvenient as it's of now, right? And then for the mere fact that it is their own responsibility, we want to see how we and government can come together.
But you guys are still making money, you know.
They are not making money here.
How?
In fact, that has been the problem here. Let's just imagine here. New England, maybe you have over 200 or 300 bikes, right? If you go there now, the bikes are parked there, right? They are going out for passengers. You know, you see that the competition. Let me say you have 500 people to move from one place to another at New England community here. Then you have 200 bikes. So meaning the ratio is 1:2. So you only make 2,000 leons, you know, for that particular day. Wherein you have to pay maybe the owner and your very self. And then look at the present situation now. School is about to open now.
Okay.
All of these guys has to solve all of these problems here.
Are they school going pupils, or are they just ordinary
some
youths
are school
that are
going
to
people
school and taking bike riding as a means of getting their own livelihood?
Okay, fine, thank you. Some are school people. You know why? In this country, there are no scheme for young people which will educate them like other parts of the world. So that's why some will ride just for them to get ways to pay their fees.
Okay.
Some are family breadwinners. You get me? Out of this bike where they sponsor their families. You get me? And some even have one or two students, or children which they can take care of.
Okay.
So look at the present situation now. You get me? So in this situation, we want to call on government here to look at people's problems here, because it's really a big problem in the country. Mind you, for any drastic decision taken against commercial motorbike operators does not only affect the individual who are riding the bikes here, but also the people that they are connected to, even the parents also. Some have missed some of many projects because of commercial motorbike operations here, because we have been banned from the central business district. That is why we say government, it is their own responsibility, not to ask us from job, but to find ways how they can regulate our affairs.
Thank you very much. The program has been Issues in the News, and we talked to the Secretary General of the Bike Riders Union, Abdul Sharif. On behalf of the production team, I am Bakara Bangura in Freetown, and this is the SLBC. Keep watching and happy viewing.